The Xi'an language has 3 official typefaces: Xiingliti, Xinshan, and Xinqiu. The first 2 were designed by Britton Watkins and launched with the language, and the third was designed by Chris Harrow and first seen with the Santok Yai. I've developed a typeface which I can share with you now, and this video explained why I designed it the way I did and how you can get a hold of it. My name is Jael, and if you enjoy lore, languages and little details, you should subscribe to my channel. First, a little bit of terminology. I've been saying typefaces rather than fonts. A typeface is a complete set of letters for typed print. A font is then a practical implementation of those designs. A digital font allows creation of letters in many sizes and maybe bold or italic forms, while a physical font will be movable type with a specific point size and weight. When they launched, Xiingliti and Xinshan had a very difficult to use digital font which fans ripped from the language PDF, requiring all kinds of shenanigans and weird characters to write with them. But Chris Harrow's work to implement an auto-ligaturing font made Xiingliti the useful, typable font that it is today. To date, there hasn't been an updated version of the Xinshan font. It still only really exists as just a typeface, and they have not yet released anything with the Xinqiu font for us to use. You might be asking why I said only 3 when there's a number of designs in brochures or other graphics. These are lettering, not complete typefaces. Bespoke, one-off pieces that don't come from a complete set of letters. You could make a typeface based off them, but currently only those letters exist. I've made a lot of bespoke lettering myself, including trying to reinterpret the lettering of the manufacturer brands into a Xi'an equivalent with a similar aesthetic. The only other complete set of lettering outside of the 3 official fonts is the early design for the Xi'an alphabet, which evolved into Xiingliti. The 3 official typefaces are all lovely and distinct. I feel that they're best described on a spectrum from classical to modern, with Xiingliti as a traditional classical style, Xinshan as a modern and bold computerized interpretation, and Xinqiu typeface sitting somewhere in the middle. However, I think that all 3 typefaces occupy the same kind of spot in the design space when we consider other aspects like friendliness. They're all quite comfortable for a human eye to read, and that's good when you want a human to feel comfortable. Looking across the bespoke letterings on the other hand, we find much more angular and chunky fonts that are less friendly and more exciting, alienating or disconcerting. Fonts, after all, are a bit like colours in design. A wide palette will have different shades, and sometimes you want a bit of black or neon green when comfortable pastels won't give you the effect that you want. While exploring Xi'an letterforms, I decided to try and make a typeface that would fill as much space as possible. I was inspired by fonts like Stencil, angular blocky lettering from sci-fi posters like Blade Runner, and the Combine logo and writing from Half-Life 2. The resulting typeface, which I call Xi'ingiti, or utilitarian writing, is extremely angular and imposing. It's very visible where it is written, but not necessarily comfortable for a human to read. I imagine Xi'ingiti being used primarily in industrial applications, like the stencil text that partially inspired it. Indeed, it's the kind of font you might have on a shipping container or as a high voltage warning in a service corridor. Its chunkiness means that it'd be harder to wear away and more eye-catching to signify that writing is there, even if the letters themselves are not something you want to read a whole page of. I think that its space-filling blockiness sort of evokes the idea of stenciled letters, and I imagine the text being applied with some sort of scanning laser applicator. My font is built over the FanKit font. It just replaces the artwork while keeping the underpinning coding from Chris Harrow. It's only available as a horizontal font and not in the vertical format that the FanKit also provides for Xiingliti. The font works fine with a safe degree of spacing in ordinary context by default. However, I think it looks coolest when you get really tight grid-like spacing, and the exact positioning of that will depend on the specific graphical context and the software you're using. So to do that, I typically actually type out characters individually and then space them manually. And that's the process that I use to get the images that I've shown in my video. While that's not ideal and completely user-friendly, I didn't consider it worth the pain to try and get it working differently, when really this font is best used for a few characters at a time and not in mass text, so that kind of manual spacing is worth the effort. If you would like to download it, it is linked in the video description. Please note that permitted usage is strictly non-commercial and governed by the same terms found in the FanKit agreement, also linked below. You might also want to download that FanKit anyway, because the instructions for using Xi'an fonts in general are contained within that. I hope you enjoy it, and if you enjoy unusual and original star system content like this, please check out my other videos and subscribe to my channel. I've been Jael, and I'll see you around the verse.